Please, and sorry for this. Okay, hello, I'm representative of the team of TechArt. Before I start, I would like to give you notes on the industry which we are at here in the US, because it may not be known by everyone. So we are looking at museums. What's typical for museums is in the US is that most of their money, about 35%, comes from foundations and sponsorship. So they do not get them from the government, they do not get grants. And the problem which they have, and this is what we already confirmed, is that they would like to enhance children's cultural knowledge while they're in the museum, and they are struggling with that because of the new.
So that's your problem. That's the problem that you identified.
That's the problem which they have.
And your customer is the museum, or
museum.
The museum is your customer.
Exactly.
Children's programs for museums.
Yeah.
To drive.
What do you mean?
To drive what? Children's programs in museums to do what?
To drive their cultural knowledge of the art which is within the museum.
Children. So that's what you would measure to be successful.
Exactly.
Children's increased knowledge of museums' offerings.
Exactly. Okay, and the long-term purpose is to make the children patrons of the museum, and hopefully in the future they are sponsors. Okay. Yeah, they rely very much on sponsorship. If they manage to engage.
So where's your gap that you just identified in that statement? Because everybody sort of giggled. So do you think they giggled because they saw a gap, or do you think they giggled because they thought it was a joke, or why do you think they giggled?
Because it was not possible. That's why they giggled.
So
we believe
your value proposition, what you believe, they don't believe it's possible.
Yeah.
But you do.
Yeah.
Show me
because
how you
they are
mind.
not in the shoes of the museum.
Show me how you mind that gap.
Okay. So what's our plan? So we need to identify a museum who know that they have a problem with educating heads, and who has a budget, and who does not have a solution already. 27% of the museums in US currently. So we need one museum to start to test all of our hypotheses. So when we identify one museum, they have an educational department who are very well aware of the issue. They have a marketing department who would like to have a tool to market out there why they are different, so make them differentiation for them. We have a finance department who is aware of the budget. So we need to talk with these guys and provide them our platform and solution, which basically enhance children's cultural knowledge and provide a tool to engage the whole family within the museum, which will be differentiation factor for them, and which will add value first for the visitors and then for the museums, with the long-term vision of making the children their patrons and hopefully sponsors. Okay, so we are in search of a museum. What we need to do first, which has a selling cost or research cost, is to find one museum which is aware of the problem and has the budget to solve it. Then our plan, and here we have a lot of assumptions to test, is to work with the museum. What we know, in addition, is that there are many foundations and sponsors who are ready to support programs to educate children. So they can acquire the budget if they do not have it by asking for a grant. Okay? So we provide the platform to the museum, which either the museum pays, either they find a foundation and sponsor to pay. This is the hard part of the process, which may take up to a year. And
I'm not a smart guy. What is your product? What is your service?
Our product is an application which is basically a game which entertains children and in the same ways educates them about the art.
So you're creating a game.
Yeah.
You're creating a game that the museum will do what with?
The museum
will sell that game?
Yeah, we'll sell that game to their visitors' families with children.
So you're a game manufacturer.
Yeah, in the beginning.
And your primary target is museums.
Exactly.
You're a game manufacturer that's selling to museums. Okay? When you follow the dollars, where is your gap?
Our gap is our gap is this selling process, which needs to be financed, of course, and then our gap then. So the problem here, the issue, the big gap is the software development and the first game development. The first game which is specialized for the museum development. So we have huge.
That's the first.
Costs. Yeah.
So marketing. The marketing side of your brain, or whoever on the team who has the marketing side, has said that this is an issue for museums.
We validated it with museums.
You validated it meeting with museums. And that if you created a game for a museum, they would be interested in it.
Which engage children, yeah. If we find a way to make it interesting for kids to learn about art, and we believe the best way is with a game. Here is our hypothesis, which have a lot of research to support it. Then this will add value for the museum.
Where do you see your biggest risks?
The biggest risk, if we do not manage to add the value to the kids.
You know what?
If we do not manage to add the value to the kids. If they find out the game is not interesting.
So creating of the game is an issue.
Exactly.
What's the second issue?
Getting a museum who is ready to pilot with us. So we need a front-looking museum who is ready to pilot this out. And we all check if we work.
It's chicken and the egg, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you don't have a game yet. You
Yeah.
sell them, but you want them to commit to buying something. You don't have it.
Well, we have an ideas for the game, and the initial plan is just to have something to show them, of course. But again, it needs to be specialized for the museum.
Okay. So do you see how this process has identified these gaps and these big risks, major risks? So as you start to prioritize your marketing dollars, your marketing efforts, you see the different places. Now you're adding a whole different element, which is development, software development.
Yeah, it's here. As I said, it's a upfront cost. The platform and the first games, that's the front cost which we need to cover.
Okay, good, excellent. Thank you.